Fast, free delivery from the Home Depot makes your projects hassle-free. Forget something you need? Visit HomeDepot.com or the Home Depot app for free delivery on millions of products, including same-day and next-day options. Get delivery at the speed you need, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability.
We have been told that we are the big boys in town.
Well, he's yapping. He's into it. I'm talking about he is like lit.
He's about to start preaching.
Let everybody say amen.
I can get chills a little bit thinking about what these two guys could be.
The Falcons Audible presented by AT&T is back. Your three are here. That's DJ Shockley. He's always throwing it up.
Yeah, he is.
No matter what the circumstances are. That's Dave Archer. I'm Derek Rackley here. We're going to break down as best we can a 34-10 Falcons loss to the Miami Dolphins. And then we'll go ahead and turn the page and we'll talk about New England Patriots because that's the next on the docket. And the only game that matters is the next game. However, but when you're in our business, you got to go back and you got to look and you got to talk. And I'm sure a lot of you that are listening and watching want to hear us tell you why or how. Why or how did that game happen? Arch, I'm going to start with you. If you go back before the season started and you started looking at the calendar, and this is where you can fall into a trap, right? You can fall into a trap in the National Football League. You can see 3 games that say Miami, New England, Indianapolis. And you're like, gosh, that's a favorable stretch right there.
Yeah.
And then you actually start playing football.
Then you play the game.
Then you actually play the game. And you get a 1-6 Dolphins team that's playing upset, playing inspired, playing motivated because they got absolutely called out the previous week. They got embarrassed the previous week, the previous 2 weeks, if you will. And then you look up and you got 2 teams in the Patriots division leader, Colts division leader, one of the best teams in the league, leading the National Football League in scoring. You know what? That thing that you circled that looked like pretty manageable games, not so much anymore.
Not so much.
But let's talk about this Dolphins game, Arch, because it was a situation where Atlanta coming off a poor performance against San Francisco, thinking this has got to be a bounce-back game. You're facing a team that's reeling. You're facing a team and a quarterback that's given the football away, okay? And so you're thinking we're licking our chops, defensive side, right? We're licking our chops because we're going to have a chance for takeaways. We're licking our chops offensively because there were not a good run defense statistically. And then everything but that happened. No takeaways, Tua throws for 4 touchdowns, no picks, and they absolutely shut down the run game. How in the world did it just completely 360 around?
No, it's the National Football League, right? If you're not ready to play, and not saying that the Falcons weren't ready to play. I think you give more accolades and maybe shine the light a little bit more on Miami as opposed to what Atlanta didn't do. But Atlanta contributed to that performance by Tua and by the Dolphin defense. But I think that when you look at and you try to kind of dig down deep as to why this game went a certain way, it starts great. I mean, you go 3 and out on defense, got a really cool design defensively. They run motion across. Nobody goes with him. So you're thinking zone if you're Tua, right, Shock? Mm-hmm. You're thinking zone. And then all of a sudden, boom, here come 2 guys off the edge. They get the quarterback on the ground. Couldn't have started any better with a sack. D. Alford comes in and gets the sack with Ellis coming clean as well. So you start perfectly. You get the football, and dysfunction begins. You run it twice for nothing, and then they run a 3-man stunt to the left side. Here comes a guy clean in Kirk's face. He barely gets it out to Pitts, and so you start sleepily, if that's such a word, sleepily offensively.
We get you, though. We get
sleepily
you.
Offensively. And then they get the football, and they go on a 19-play drive or something like that to move it down the field. So when you dig through the minutia for me, guys, is it's okay, why did the defense get run on and all that kind of – you can talk about, okay, what they're doing schematically, all this kind of stuff, extra offensive linemen in the game, whatever you want to talk about. You're on the field too much defensively, okay? You're on the field for 38 minutes, okay? At some point, I'm going to figure out how to attack you.
Yeah.
Conversely, on the other side, you were 4 for 15 in conversion situations. That counts 3rd down and 4th down.
Yep.
That contributes to what happened to your defense. You can say, well, what's the best way to help our defense stop the run? Don't have them on the field for 38 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the offense was dysfunctional in conversion situations. And it wasn't 3rd and long, guys. It was 4th and 3, 3rd and 5. and you didn't convert. So what leads to that? It leads to there's a number of things. You can talk about design of offense, and you can talk about all the things, but ultimately it's about executing the plays, executing your job at the highest possible level. And we didn't play well up front. We didn't play well at the quarterback position, and I didn't think we overly were decisive from a wide receiver standpoint. Other than that, we were pretty good on offense.
Those three things that you said, though, were awfully large. Shock, I'm going to repeat this because different audience, but on the pregame show, Taylor was talking to me. This was post-San Francisco about thinking back to my career and how do you find consistency, okay? And so I went back and I'm gonna kind of quiz you guys here because this is 2004 season, okay?
Wow.
And that season we had 2 separate 4-game winning streaks. I said, well, how do you get consistent? Is you got to find winning streaks, right? You got to find a way to put yourself in position to where you're looking at postseason. That only happens by winning games, and when you're struggling, you got to find ways to stack one after another after another. But I said, yeah, that's all elementary. It's like, Rack, I understand you got to win games. You got to get on a winning streak. That's fine and dandy. How do you do it? Okay? And I said that year, we did what we did best, better than anybody else, and we ran the football. Okay? Both 4-game streaks, we averaged I want to say it was 180 or 170 rushing yards a game, and then it was 185 rushing yards a game. We absolutely dominated in the ground game. Now, fast forward to 2025, fellas. What does Atlanta do really well? They're a running football team. Their offensive line has been together for a long time. They got one of the most dynamic running backs in the National Football League, and then they have the bowling ball of razor blades behind him, right? Did I say that correctly?
You said you nailed it. You nailed it.
But 2 weeks in a row, Shock, what we do best has disappeared, and that's a problem.
It is a problem, and when you hang your hat on that particular part of the game and it doesn't work and you have to adjust, that's when the things start to spiral out of control for you and things don't really go as planned. And I think the last couple of weeks when we haven't been able to run the football or we haven't dominated the line of scrimmage and then we have to turn to something else and it's not really what our forte is, then there's when things start to come up. And Arch mentioned it. Didn't think that, on the outside that, you played relatively well. When I watch the game, I go back and look at it, and then I think about it more. You think about how hard it was for completions, how tough it was. Everything, it felt like was contested. Everything felt like if a guy caught the ball, there was a guy there, or it was just hard to get yards, it felt like. And Art did a great job of talking about some of the things that obviously – that has struggled for us offensively when it comes to the run game and, having guys be able to, change the line of scrimmage on us. I mean, a prime example is, on the 3-4 yard line and we dang near get a safety because there's pushback in the backfield first and then you got the run through by the backer. That's something that obviously they've seen on tape from last week. Run blitzes, run calls, and certain things tell defensive guys, hey, this is what's coming. And I think ultimately it just comes down to a mindset, to be honest. And for years, we've always talked about if it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and they know you're going to run the football, oh, well, okay, they know it, stop it. And I think the mindset has to get back to just being the more physical team. Ultimately, it comes down to that guy in front of you, you moving that guy in front of you or not. And ultimately, last couple of weeks, we haven't done that. And that's been probably the biggest issue. And then when we can't run the football, it's like, okay, let's try to use play action. Let's try to use stuff that how you gonna use play action when you're not running the football?
You're not respecting it, right?
So, but that's part of your game plan. That's part of who you are as an offense, and it's how you set certain things up. So it's tough to be able to have things go with other things if the first part of it is not working, which is run the football.
Guys, there is an element to this of players not playing. Okay. And I'm not going to talk just about Atlanta. I want to give you some examples from around the league, okay? Baltimore Ravens have been ravaged on defense, and their quarterback has not played the last 2 games. Ravens struggling, okay? Then you flip over to the NFC. Just think about this. Giants, what have they done? Made a quarterback change, okay? Vikings, quarterback's been injured. They've had to pivot, all right? By the way, both of these teams are at the bottom of their division. Saints, quarterback issues, a lot of other things going on. Bottom of the division. All right. Cardinals, Kyler Murray, he got hurt. They've had to go to the backup quarterback. They're 2-5. Even the 49ers at their 5-3, their starting quarterback has been hurt. However, Mac Jones comes in and he's been playing really well. The moral of the story, fellas, is when your starter in the NFL is not playing, that is a bad thing. Okay? There's not too many backups in the National Football League that come out and they actually take the league by storm. Then when you compound, there's no Jalen Walker, there's no Zach Harrison, obviously no Drake London in the game. We see what type of difference maker he is. Arch, how much can you attribute to
Diablo,
those guys that have been mainstays at their positions, not in the lineup?
Well, if you're overly dependent on the guys that are out, which I think applies to who Shock just mentioned, Divine Diablo, you got him in free agency and you thought, okay, he'll blend nicely into the defense. He hasn't just blended nicely into the defense. He might be your best player on defense based on what we try to do because of his versatility.
Yep.
We saw that this weekend because they tried to expose his backup in coverage, which is what Divine Diablo did in college. He was a safety, and they've converted him to linebacker. So I hear what you're saying about guys being out, and certainly you contribute some of the drop-off from an offensive standpoint or a defensive standpoint to guys not being on the field, but everybody's dealing with that. You just mentioned a bunch of teams, and some of them are struggling, some of them are not. We played the 49ers on a Sunday night, and they had both their inside linebackers were gone. You'd have thought we were playing the 85 Bears. I mean, they were coming downhill, stopping the run game. So I think that can be overblown a little bit from a missing. And Penix has only been out one game. So what happened prior to that? He was in the game in Carolina. He was in the game in San Francisco. So I think that – so now you have to dive deeper into it. And when I look at people being able to gang up on the run, why are they able to stop the run game? What's going on with our run game? Are we getting away from it too quickly? Or are there some tells that are giving teams, now that they have tape, on how to defend Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier? I'm leaning towards the latter in that situation. So now, Zach Robinson, I'm sure, is over in the library right now with, or in the laboratory right now with TJ Yates and Coach Williams and all those guys, Coach Petrie, trying to figure out how do we show them what we've been doing and have counters off of it. And some of that has to do with what Shock's saying. If they're going to come downhill and stop the run, we have to touch them in the passing game. And that means play action. I got to show run, and I got to show what I normally show with Bijan, and it's got to mesh with our play action game. If you can do that, there's going to be explosives all over the field. Also, we don't have – I don't want to be brutally honest here, but we don't have man-beater guys on the perimeter. You've got one guy if Drake's out, because Drake can do it from a basketball perspective. He also runs better than people think he does. But you've got one man-beater on the perimeter as long as Bijan's in the backfield. That's Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
So I've got to create opportunities. If we're going to see man coverage, and get ready, Vrabel's going to play man coverage,
no doubt,
because they're going to do the same thing they've seen the last couple, and that's what they do anyway, is they try to crowd the line of scrimmage and they play man. They trust their secondary. And what they've seen on tape is Atlanta can't beat you if we play man coverage. So I've got to get guys running away from people so I can make some throws on the move to guys run away. And Mooney, to me, is a guy that we're running him on deep post routes. In all honesty, guys, if I was going to pick a guy for a 50-50 guy that's going to be tight coverage, that's not the guy I'm picking.
Yeah.
But if I got Mooney running shallow crossing route and a guy's trying to trail him, I like that.
Yes.
I'm going to get him the football. He's explosive. These are just these things that I'm seeing. Nobody's telling me this or anything like that. And they're things you can create and things you can do. So as much as I want to run the football, I think you got to do some of those things to counteract.
And I want both of you guys to chime in on this, because you make a great point as far as how do you run away from the defense and create some explosive plays. And you were kind of alluding to maybe a little bit of speed. But I want to counter back, and I want to say, what about guys like Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Ladd McConkey. I wouldn't necessarily say those guys are run away from the defense. So how do those guys get so much success when you maybe have more possession route runners and not necessarily creating separation from coverage?
Well, you're creating it by the route you're running, Shock. You know, you run a shallow drag route. If I get the guy in a trail position and I stair step him, boom, all of a sudden I've got separation. And by the way, Nakua can run pretty well, and so can McConkey, but all these guys can run to a certain extent. Create them an opportunity to beat man coverage. I think there's too many. To me, if I'm a quarter, and I'm looking at it from our perspective, Shock, if I see a team that's going to play man coverage, I want the option for my guys to read it out. And if it's man, boom, I'm running away. And running away, I don't mean running away because of his speed. I'm talking about running away because of the way what the route is. I don't want guys running a stop route. I'm helping the guy defender out. But I've got to have those readout plays, and we have those in the system where they're reading coverage. If it's man, boom, I'm running away. If it's zone, I'm getting in a hole and I'm sitting down. And those are the kind of things that I think we're a little bit dysfunctional on. Not that we don't have it in the system. I think Zach's calling it. We've got to execute it better. That's why I get back to the execution thing.
And Shock, he makes a great point because, and I can say from my tight end days and practice and everything, that a lot of route running and getting open is using little things to your advantage. Like I think you could look at a guy like Devontae Adams now later in his career, DeAndre Hopkins, right? What do these guys do really well is they know how to use their body, they know how to set defenders up, and they know how to create separation because maybe they're not as quick and fast as they used to be, but they're so savvy, Shock, that the nuances of route running, they understand all that. And they understand where the defense is trying to attack, and then how do I counter that to get myself even more open to show the quarterback that he can throw me the football.
One guy that instantly ran into my brain as you talked about that. It was a guy that I saw. Art, you called his games. Rack, you know him like it's yesterday. I mean, Tony Gonzalez. How about Tony Gonzalez? The guy was maybe 4'9", running. But how many times did he create separation by his routes? And you would see him come out, and it would be, methodical and whatever you want. And then all of a sudden, he's created 3-4 yards of separation by the way he moves, the nuances at the top of the route, using his body to create the space. Guys like that understand space, understand leverage of players. And I think that's part of it too, is understanding that if you're not as fast, you got to be able to use those small little details within a route that gets you open. I think that's what Drake does really well. He does a really good job of those option routes, or when he's running those circus routes and, he's trying to lean on a guy to create it as he's going out. He knows exactly what to do to lean on a guy. I mean, the touchdown he had a few weeks back where he's, in the end zone, he stems a guy, he goes vertical, and then he stems him out to the left to create space from him and the safety. And then all of a sudden, boom, he hooks it really quickly. Like, those small things give you an opportunity to win on routes, even in small spaces. And I think that's part of the game that I think a lot of guys are still learning, maybe, that are running these particular routes. And then the other part is what Arch mentioned was the execution part of it. We had a 4th down call in the ball game, and we throw the fade route to Cadero. And regardless of, the throw, I thought the decision and execution of it wasn't there. And that's part of the small little things of winning in games that helps you sustain drives, helps you continue to go. And you mentioned Mooney. Maybe that's not the guy you want to throw to. 4th and 3 fade route to – we love Hodge. He played great for us. But maybe that's not the one you want to do. There's somebody else who can win probably on the outside that gives you a chance to convert that. And there were – points in the ball game where the execution decision making I thought was not where it should be, and the ball should have went somewhere else as opposed to where it went.
So dead on. I mean, you got a 3-by-1 set. You've got Kadero Hodge matched up on a 6-2 corner. Okay, and I'm going to run a fade. Okay, Kadero didn't run a great route because he gets pinched to the sideline.
Yep.
But I mean, I glance over there. Sure, you want to take a look at shots.
Yeah.
As quarterbacks, we're taught there's a shot play built into almost everything. Unless it's quick game, there's a shot play built in. Take a glance. If he wins clean, boom, put it on him. But if it's side by side, he's in his hip pocket.
He didn't win.
I'm getting off of that, And I'm coming back to the so decision making, that's part of the execution. Whether you run the route and like you're talking about route rack where you there's definitive stuff at the top, whether it's Devontae Adams or whether it's David Sills. I get to the top of my route and I get a little pressure break to create that separation versus man coverage. I've got that little idiosyncrasy that I know from a quarterback standpoint. I know what my guy's doing from a body language standpoint. Boom, I can get the ball out. I create that separation. The difference between what you guys did in 2004 and what we're doing now is number 7 ran the football out the backside of your run game. So now all of a sudden, my run game goes like this.
Yep.
Because 7, Michael Vick, is going out this way. Warwick Dunn's going this way, and I'm looking at it from a defensive standpoint. I better get upfield to defend the bootleg. I can't crash the run game. What we're seeing on tape, if you look at it, we're getting guys crashing the backside of the run game. Now, you're not going to get that from Kirk. But Penix has the ability to do those kind of things. And if Michael can be healthy, hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully Mike's ready to go this week, that's almost something that you almost got to tell him, hey, you need to take that.
Yeah.
And we're going to see a guy this weekend in Drake May. You go look at the tape of Drake May. He's doing those. He's taking off.
Yeah.
And he's not Michael Vick, but he's very athletic. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Michael's going to have to build some of that into his game where he's aggressive, that if you want to rush me and drop off, I'm going to go get me 8. I'm going to go get 15. I'm going to go run for a first down. Then you're going to have to come up and try to make sure you defend me. Now all of a sudden that intermediate area comes a little bit more open. I can throw those guys open because they don't want to give me that much room to get out. So there's some things that guys are going to have to develop their games, take their games to another level. Michael's one of them. There's other guys that have to take their game to another level. This is why, to me, this is a myriad of things. Everybody wants to put their finger on one thing. Oh, the offensive coordinator's not getting his job done, so we need to do something there. That's not what it is. He's culpable some point, to a certain extent, and he knows that. That's why he's grinding over here right now, trying to get stuff ready for this game. But there's guys from an execution standpoint that have to take their game to another level. We're kind of in that 5th grade level of the offense because we got a bunch of young dudes. They need to grow up a little bit and take their game to another level.
So one quick thing, Rex, sorry before you go. I looked at you and laughed because you said something to me that you mentioned 2004. I got here in 2006, and I remember sitting in meeting rooms with Mike, with Greg Knapp, rest in peace, and there were times where that same play that you would say, all right, here's go, we're running outside zone. But, Mike, if you see that backside end crashing, you pull it. You just go. I mean, it was literally said the way you just said. That's why I laughed that Knapp would literally say, just take it. Just do something with it. Because guess what? We got to get that guy to respect the backside. And there would literally be times where we would work on it in practice like, okay, we're going to the left, and you would peek as you come out the line of scrimmage looking at that backside end to see how sharp he is coming down that line. Mm-hmm. And if he came any flatter, it was take off and take it and run. Mm-hmm. It was go. And that was maybe 4, 5, 6 plays in the ball game where you just would take it and go because that backside in, but it gave you that respect that you needed. You say some guys just have to take that in, and that's kind of what Knapp would tell Michael, just, hey, look, if they're not going to respect the backside, I don't care what it is, you just pull it and go. So you can go back on the tape and you can see literally he looked back and you see that guy, he just takes off and go. He picks up 8, 9, 10 yards. Next time they go wide zone, guess what? That guy's slow playing it. Yep. He ain't crashing down anymore.
Yeah, and that provides all that stuff, as you guys know, backside too. We're getting the ball deep enough out of the pistol. One of the reasons we're in the pistol to run that stuff is to getting the ball deep enough where we can stretch it, hit it, cut it back. Well, I can't cut back if the backside guy's crashing. So you're exactly right, Shock.
The last thing I'll say about, I know we're not in 2004, and there's a lot of people listening and watching that probably like, I don't remember that. All I remember is Michael Vick was really good and he was really fast. And that's 100% correct. However, the last thing I'll say, and I think you guys would both agree, is that year and that time period, we ran the inside and outside zone better than anybody in the National Football League. And that was because that was all we worked on. We weren't a man team. We weren't pulling guards all over the place. It was inside, outside zone, and if you didn't hit your landmarks, Alex Gibbs was ripping you out of there and you weren't playing, right? Yeah. But that's what it gets back to is, can you do something extremely well that the defense, no matter how they play it, you're going to block it better, right? And that's what the National Football League gets to, is this, your technique and your mechanics and your fundamentals has to get so good that it doesn't matter what they do, you're still going to be able to block it up front.
Sure.
All right, let's move on because we've got the Patriots this week. You guys talked a little bit about it this week already. Drake May's playing at an extremely high level. Drake May's not only playing the quarterback position well, but he's also running the football well. Second leading rusher on the team behind Ramondre Stevenson. And Stephon Diggs is kind of finding his way. Remember, he's kind of bounced around a little bit. Well, he seems to find his way in the receiver core. Kayshon Boutte as well is having a good season. So, Arch, why don't you give our listeners and our viewers a little bit of background of who Atlanta is going to see in New England? Yes, Atlanta needs to worry about themselves. They have to go out and they got to do their stuff better. But they've also got an opponent on the other side of the field. So give people a little bit of taste of what they're going to face in the Patriots.
Well, you're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets. They're going to run some tight end sets that you think, okay, they're throwing the ball and they're having success, and Drake's thrown for over 2,000 yards, 15 TDs, 4 picks, something like that, taking care of the ball. Yep. But what they're doing, their base is they want to run. They would like to run the football. You know, Travion Henderson, the rookie out of Ohio State, is the guy that is added into what Rack talked about with Ramondre Stevenson coming downhill. If you look at those 4 guys, they've got 4 guys that have over 250 yards rushing. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Drake is number 2, so they want to run the football. Now, some of Drake's stuff, most of Drake's stuff, is the impromptu. They're not designing run plays. Now, they'll have some bootlegs for him, both front side and back side, and he has run-pass options. But most of his stuff is when he drops the throw, if you rush 4 and you're not really kind of having that mush rush scenario where you're trying to smash the pocket on him, he's going to get out and break you down. He throws the ball to the backs. The 2 backs, those 2 guys, Henderson and Stevenson, have about 40 catches between them, so he's throwing the ball to those guys. You mentioned Boutte; he's the guy that's caught the touchdowns. Diggs is blended in extremely well. He's got 2 tight ends he can throw the football to.
We know one of those guys, don't we?
Yeah. Austin Hooper is one of the other tight ends. Hunter Henry has kind of rediscovered his career a little bit for this New England team. But they play with kind of Vrabel's mentality, and it goes back to what you're talking about. We're gonna impose ourselves on you.
Oh, for sure.
And certainly on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, they want to do that as well. And so they kind of tried to get back to what they used to be when he was playing a little bit. And I give their staff a ton of credit. They're 10th in total offense. They're 9th in total defense. They're doing a really good job scoring points and keeping people off the scoreboard. Yep. So all the little things that you're hoping for from a complementary football standpoint is coming together for New England.
Shock, you talked a little bit about the stats. You mentioned scoring. 8th in the league is a scoring offense. 4th in the league is a scoring defense. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you can look at all these stats and everything, and at the end of the day, you kind of need to look at how are they doing in the scoring department. And the other thing that kind of caught me is interesting, Shock, is I looked at how have the Patriots fared at home this year. Obviously, it's going to be a home game. Falcons traveling to play on the road. Well, they're 2-2 this year. They lost their first 2 games at home games against the Raiders and Steelers, but then they've won their last 2 games. And not only have they won the last 2 games, they've averaged 37 points a game in both of those. So it's not like they've been dominant at home throughout the course of the year, but the sample size that we have lately is a Patriots team that's playing well and scoring a lot of points, which poses some problems for Atlanta.
Which is what you want from a team that's starting to figure out who they are. Mm-hmm. And Vrabes, as we mentioned, has started to put his imprint on both sides of the ball. Obviously, you knew coming in he would be a defensive-minded guy, and that side of the ball would play to that kind of standard. Last 5 ball games, 20 points or less that they've given up. So you're talking about not allowing people in the end zone, and they're scoring a lot of points. That puts a lot of pressure on opposing offenses to play well. We just talked about the game we're coming off where the Miami Dolphins had the ball 38 minutes. That cannot happen in this ball game. Arch laid out the multitude of guys that could hurt you on that side of the ball from the running backs. And what we've seen the last 2 weeks, running backs be a big part of the storyline coming into the ball game. We saw A-Chain last week. They tried to force feed him the football similar to what the 49ers did with McCaffrey. First play of the ball game, they tried to throw a wheel route over there on J.D. Bertrand. So you know coming in, they're going to try to, even though these are different style of backs and Ramondre and Travion, they're still going to be focal points of this offense when they talk about running the football. On the other side of it, Drake May's been sacked 28 times, though. He's a guy that you can get to. Those first 2 losses, 9 sacks in those first 2 losses. Freaking Myles Garrett just last week, 5 sacks on his own.
Yeah.
So maybe this is an opportunity for you to say, all right, 38 minutes is something you can't have. But here's something else that you can do. You can get after the quarterback and get off the field. You talked about it. You got to get off the field. You can't be, on offense 2 of 11 on third down and then allow the other team to be 50, 60% on third down. You got to find ways to get off the field. When he gets those impromptu plays, we got to make sure you stick to him on the back end, but also you got to get to him. I think that's a big part of this ball game is getting to Drake May and understanding that he's a guy that, if we've seen over the last couple of weeks, if a quarterback finds some confidence, he's going to make some plays on you. So this is a team that's scoring points, not allowing points, but they also have some things that's working against them. But even with the 5 sacks, they were able to score over 30 points against the Browns.
Arch, I was listening to Raheem's press conference yesterday, and it made me think about, has he been in a situation where his team has been struggling, and has he seen a turnaround? So I went and I did a little bit of research, and he didn't have to go far. 2023 season, so before he ends up coming to Atlanta, the Rams started 3-6 that year. Okay, and if you guys remember, they finished 7-1. Okay, so if there's a guy that knows what it looks like mid-season when his team is struggling, Raheem's been there before. Now, how can he harness it now as the head coach and not as just a coordinator? But Arch, my question to you is, we take it one game at a time. Okay, but what is it going to take for Atlanta as a whole to turn this thing around to make it look somewhat like it did in 2023 when Raheem was with the Rams?
Well, I think first of all, you got to identify what is it we're struggling with. What is it we're doing incorrectly? How can we accentuate what we're doing well? It's like going into the weight room. You know, you don't want to neglect what you do really well, but you know as well as I do, the strength and conditioning staff here or wherever in the National Football League, in our experiences, they're going to work on your weaknesses. Okay, where are you weak? You're weak when you try to plant in your light legs. We're going to work. That's what you're going to have to do from a game plan standpoint is, okay, they always self-scout throughout the year. You guys know this. I think people think that, okay, only on the bye week do they self-scout. There's people in the building that are getting analytics all the time that are evaluating, okay, what are we doing, and are we giving things away? Are there some tells that are showing certain things that they're allowing them to pin their ear back and come after us, or they know right away that something's going to happen. So the counteracts off of that. But to me, that's you've got the personnel in the building. You've got the people from a know-how standpoint, coaching-wise. Now you have to meld that together, if you will, and create uncertainty on the defensive side of the football. Wait a minute, I saw that on tape, and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, they did this. Well, yeah, we made it look like that, and now we're doing this. And that's the evolution of what happens throughout every year. You know, when you play 17 games, you can't get caught in ruts. You got to continue to kind of reinvent yourself a little bit. I think that's really kind of all it is. Yeah. I think you have the talent to get that done.
Arch, it's the chess game that is the National Football League. Everybody is talented in this league, but how do you create an edge to, on Sunday, be just a little bit better than the opponent? All right, guys, let's finish it up like this. I want each of us, 1, 2, 3, to give one key that Atlanta has to do this weekend as they play on the road, 1 o'clock against the Patriots, if they want to come away with the victory. Shock, I'm going to start with you. What is one key that you are looking forward to seeing Atlanta doing on Sunday?
You know, I just talked about obviously getting Drake May on the ground. I won't use that one. I'll say our secondary has to play well. You look at the numbers, look at how they're distributing the football. Obviously, Stephon Diggs has been big for him. Keyshawn Boutte, Hunter Henry, Mac Hollins, all those guys have been focal points for Drake May. You take away a guy's ability to be able to push the football down the field. You take away his ability to be able to have quick decisions. and I think you have some success in this ball game. So I think the secondary has to play exceptionally well in this ball game to give us a chance to get after the quarterback one. And I think we're going to have to line up and play some man coverage, get in the guy's face, not give him easy access throws. Going to have to stand up and be a little bit different this week and change kind of the MO of times of what you want. And maybe you come after him a little bit more. That means you got to lock up on the back end. So I think this is a big ball game for the secondary because of how much success Drake has had over the last few ball games throwing the football. Obviously, they're going to run the football, but this is also a guy who wants to push the ball down the field. Remember his times in North Carolina to now, he still wants to throw the football. If we can slow that receiver core down or the pass catchers, we got a good chance of playing, I think, good football on the defense side of the ball.
All right, secondary making it challenging in
Yes.
the passing game. All right, Arch, what do you think? One key for you.
Yeah, I want to do a little value shopping if
Okay.
I can.
Ooh,
We'll do a little value shopping.
BOGO?
I
Little
want,
BOGO?
I want,
I like this.
I want value in the plays that I run that are going to create opportunities maybe for me later on in the game. So, no wasted series, no wasted plays. I think we've had too much of that the last couple of weeks. So I want to be able to get something out of the first down play, something out of the second down play, keep myself in manageable situations where I can convert. But I want to do it in a way where the defense is still trying to figure out what I'm doing. You know, they're going to know we want to run the football. So I want value out of every drive. Now, we may not score on every drive, but you get 2 first downs, 3 first downs. You look over, the clock is a little bit more diminished. The defense isn't on the field as much, and we get a little bit more confidence in, hey, we can do that. We got a little something here. We set this up, so that's available later on. Value, a little bit value on drives in the games.
Can I add one thing before you give your key, right? One thing we have to do better in this ball game, too, we can't have the special team penalties. We had 3 of them in this last ball game, where you're starting drives inside your 10-yard line or starting drives inside the 20-yard line. It's hard to go methodically go down 8, 9, 10, 12-play drives without something bad happening. So we can't have those penalties in special teams that already set you behind when you're trying to go get points.
Love it. Love it. You get the third phase of the game involved, and I think you're exactly right. There's just too many penalties last week backing you up, and you're starting inside your 15, your 10-yard line. Now look at the amount of yards you got to cover just to get into scoring territory. We play the game on our show a lot of times about 3 words. I'm just going to to give y'all 2 today. And
2 words?
It kind of just piggybacks on you.
Very
just kind of piggybacks on your thought with bringing some value is first downs. That's it. And we always talk about third down conversions and everything. Like, I'm not even worried about I want first downs because guess what? If we get a first down on first down, I'm cool with that.
You're okay with
we
that.
get a first down on second down, great.
Yeah.
Right? But this all kind of goes together with what you were talking about. Defense was on the field too much last week against Miami. How do you prevent that? Just get first downs. And I don't care how they come.
I like that.
I don't care if you take one because of penalty.
Sustain them.
It's fine. First downs is the key in this game. When we look up, we need to see Atlanta have more first downs than the Patriots do because they're staying on the field, and then hopefully they can turn the tides in the red zone because Atlanta is not good in the red zone when it comes to touchdown percentages. But you get first downs, you're in territory to score. You got to put points on the board. You are going to have to score against the Patriots. I don't know if you guys see this as a 14-9 game, but I don't.
No, you got it. This is an offensive league. We've been really fortunate how well the defense has played here early on. I think Jeff Holbrook's done an outstanding job of melding the new guys that he's got, and they're playing at a good level. And I know that you see 34 points on the board. Again, the offense contributed to that. Yeah. So, but at some point, as Rack just said, this is an offense. It's built to be an offensive league. You got to go make some plays on the offensive side of the football. First downs. So the 4 first downs we had in the first half this last week is not enough for you. That's like Rack saying, "Okay, I got mac and cheese. Where's the meat? Where are my greens? I didn't get any greens with it. What's the deal? I got so
peanut butter, jelly.
You want a full meal. You want a full meal. I got you.
So basically, you can't walk into this thing sleepily, right?
Right.
No chance of that.
Right. There's no chance of being
sleepily.
We get no melatonin,
in this game.
none of that stuff. You can take your pill to go over to Germany if you want to on the flight over.
All right.
None of that.
We asked for 3, but we're going to give you 4. Okay. Secondary's got to play well. Arch is looking for value on offense.
Ooh.
Shock threw back in special teams, got to play much more disciplined.
Sorry.
It's all good because I added it to the list, cuz.
Gotcha.
And then I'm talking about first downs in this game. So there's your 4 keys. We thought about it was going to be 3, but we gave you 4 anyway. Okay?
Arch get
so
an extra one next week.
Let's score it up. Let's take a look next week. And did those 4 things happen for Atlanta? And if they did they win? Did they lose? Or if it didn't happen, maybe that's the reason.
Let's go, man.
Arch,
Come on,
bring
let's
us back a
go.
dub,
right.
Arch, it's on you. Bring us back a dub. It's on
Is
you.
it's on me.
It's on you.
It's on me.
I don't know what you got to say on the plane or something. You
Get
got
a snap
All right,
or
1
two.
o'clock Sunday afternoon. Falcons at Patriots, looking to get back on track. That's going to wrap things up here on the Falcons Audible, presented by AT&T. That's DJ Shock.
Rack
Dave
it up is
Archer.
cool too.
rack
Rack
it
it
up.
up. You can rack it up.
We can rack it up.
Put it on the
there.
rack. You know, it's
Rack
done.
it up. Hey, we'll see you next week.
We owe
everyone.
these
Thanks
guys.
so much.
Let's go to New England and get some.
Rack it up.